Let's go ahead and call the meeting to order. If you would, please stand for the prayer and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Dear gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day and all the many blessings, Lord. We thank you once again for allowing us as a board to come in, and we pray that we make all decisions in accordance to thy will. We pray for our country and especially the men and women that serve on foreign soil, that you'll bring them back home safe and sound, if it be thy will. Pray for the families that have lost loved ones. Comfort them as only you know how. We pray, Lord, that you forgive us of our sins. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Alderman Clough.
Here.
Alderman Coleman.
Here.
Alderman Dale.
Present.
Vice Mayor Dotson.
Present.
Alderman Langford.
Here.
Alderman Speck. Everyone here except Alderman Speck.
One is here other than Alderman Speck. So we need a motion to approve the minutes of last month's meeting.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Vice Mayor Ken Dotson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Dale. Any discussion? All for the motion, let it know by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. Motion pass. Additions or deletions to the agenda. I do have a couple items that came in late. I'm proposing for item number 5 to discuss police cars, purchase of police cars as item number 5. Item number 6 is garbage can areas and storage containers that we'll be discussing. Does anyone have anything else to add or delete from the agenda? Okay. Hearing none, someone make a motion to add these to the agenda,
So moved.
please. Motion made by Alderman Coleman. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Vice Mayor Dotson. Any discussion? All for the motion, let it know by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. Motion pass. Item number 5 will be police cars presented by Chief Etheridge. Item number 6 will be talking about the garbage can areas and storage containers. All right. We have item number 1 under old business. We have no old business. We'll go straight into new business. Item number 1, downtown revitalization, Mr. Ray Evans. We got him on audio. We can't get him on video for some reason, I think. Ray, are you there?
Yes, sir, I am, and I'm not sure whether that's a blessing or a curse.
Okay.
So, we have 5 items to discuss with you tonight. 2 of those are related to expenditures out of the downtown fund. And I will tell you that, in full disclosure, that the board has not had an opportunity to meet and formally approve either of these expenditures, but I have polled the members today, and of the 7 members responding, all responded positively to the 2 expenditure items that I will discuss with you here shortly. The first of those being the Live in Livingston series for the summer. The mayor's been able to negotiate what I believe to be three outstanding entertainment groups for our series this summer. The first being Colin Ray, the second being Confederate Railroad, and the third being the Kentucky Headhunters. And the combined fee for those three groups is $30,000. We are recommending an additional $10,000 for marketing and other miscellaneous expenditures for a total of $40,000 to come out of the downtown fund. And checking with Ms. Phillips today, that fund has a balance of about $254,000 and change. So we obviously have some other obligations to that, our loan repayment and the three facade improvement grants that we have awarded. But we would recommend that the board approve up to $40,000 for the Alive in Livingston series this summer and fall. With that, Mayor, I would ask for a vote for approval.
Okay. Okay, is there a motion to accept this, to release the funds out of the DRC for a summer concert series?
So moved.
Motion made by Alderman Dale. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Clough. Any discussion? Roll call vote, Ms. Phillips.
Alderman Langford,
Yes.
Alderman Clough,
Yes.
Alderman Coleman,
Yes.
Alderman Dale,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Dotson.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Motion passed. Go ahead with your other item, Ray.
Next item is the Livingston Academy Prom on the square. The committee did meet earlier last year and did in fact endorse the concept of having the Livingston Academy Prom on the square itself. Again, we have, since the particulars of that event have come up very recently, the board has not had an occasion to meet and discuss. But again, we had 7 of the 8 committee members respond with strong support for an expenditure of up to $10,000 in support of the prom on the square. Some of this will be one-time expenses just for this particular event, but there is a portion of it, which is about 50%, that is actually for some, what I would call some festive event lighting that can be used for other events throughout the years on the square itself. So I would, again, recommend to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen an expenditure of up to $10,000 in support of the prom on the square.
Thank you. Okay, is there, do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Motion made by Alderman Coleman. Is there a second?
Second.
We got a second by Vice Mayor Dotson. Any discussion? Roll call vote, Ms. Phillips.
Alderman Clough,
Yes.
Alderman Coleman,
Yes.
Alderman Dale,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Dotson,
Yes.
Alderman Langford.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Motion passed. Also, I just wanted to add to it, I read an article today that 80 city employees would be working on prom, and that's just absolutely not true. There would be about 8 to 10 employees working to install lights and tear down, and that's it. That's all their employees. I think, I don't know if it was a misquote or what, but I just wanted to clear that up. Thank you. Go ahead, Ray.
So, Mayor and board members, the third item is an update on the Facade Improvement Grant Program. If you have noticed 103 East Court Square or 209 and 207 South Church Street, you can visually see what a phenomenal impact this grant program has had on these three properties. Couldn't be any prouder of the property owners and how they have improved the facades of those three facilities, and looking forward to the completion of those. If you haven't had the opportunity to drive down South Church Street to look at what Lauren Crowder and the Walkers have done at 207 and 205, you need to do that. It's just a phenomenal change in those two storefronts. And recall that in each case, we awarded up to $12,500 again out of the downtown fund for those improvements, and that's a reimbursable a grant where they actually submit invoices to us, and we approve up to 50% of the expenditures up to $12,500 each. Fourth thing is an update on the Main Street and Broad Street Sidewalk Improvements Project. All I can tell you, it's a slow process at TDOT. Our consultant has submitted all the construction documents, all the right-of-way documents to TDOT, and TDOT is it's still in review of those. And Mayor, maybe with your help, I'm going to reach out to some folks at TDOT to see if we can determine why it seems to be taking so very long to get review and concurrence of that project. Lastly, our courthouse courthouse plaza project update. That seems to be going relatively smoothly. We're actually getting good communication back from TDOT as various elements within the what's called the NEPA process is being approved. There will actually be a consultant on site this coming Thursday that is an archaeological consultant, and I'm going to be meeting with her, and I would certainly invite any of you to meet with her as well, so we can better understand exactly what process the archaeologist has to go through as part of the process for the improvements to the courthouse grounds. Happy to take any questions if you have any.
Yeah, hey, Ray, when was that? Thursday, at what time?
Well, I think it's at 2 o'clock. I will reconfirm that with you and let you send that out to everyone. Okay. But I believe it's at 2 o'clock.
All right. Any questions for Mr. Evans?
I have one quick question, Mr. Evans. What is your best guess time frame of when that project might be let out for bids?
The courthouse project or the sidewalk project?
The courthouse project.
We're probably, if it takes us long for the state to review and approve this project as it has taken on the sidewalk project, it could be 18 months from now. I would hope that it could be under a normal process. It would be 6 to 8 months from now that we could bid it out.
Thank you. Any other questions for Mr. Evans? Okay. Good job, Ray. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right. Next, we have Ms. Shannon Cantrell, part of the downtown report as well.
Good evening. I wanted to let y'all know of a couple things going on at the Chamber. Just a reminder for all of you, our Best Practices in Economic Development course is this Thursday night at the Chamber from 5:30 to 7:30. Some of you have already got back in touch with me, but if you have not, please let me know in the morning or after this meeting whether or not you're going to be able to make it. And we do encourage all of you to try to come if you can. And also, we will be holding some strategic planning sessions at the Chamber with myself and the Chamber Board to discuss, where we plan on taking the Chamber in the next 1 to 5 years, set some very solid goals, work toward a good mission vision statement along with what initiatives we're going to focus on over the course of the next 5 years, just working toward a more sustainable Chamber. Our growth over the course of the last 2 years has been rather large. So it's time for us to sit down as a group and really focus on where we're going and what we're doing. Those planning sessions will be held. Our first one is going to be April 21st from 5:30 to 7:30. Second one is May 19th from 11 to 1:30 p.m. Both of these will be at the chamber. And I wanted to let y'all know, y'all are more than welcome to attend these with us if you would like to be a part of these strategic planning sessions and voice any of your ideas. That'd be great. We would love to have y'all there. And I will send out those dates to you so you can remember in case you are interested in coming. That's all I had.
Okay, any questions for Ms. Cantrell? Okay, thank you, Ms. Cantrell.
You're welcome. Thank y'all.
Item number 2 is the bids on our mosquito control product device. We did advertise for bid a mosquito control device, and it came back as a ULV cold aerosol generator is the proper name of it. We had one bid from Clark at $12,750.
Is that a mosquito machine?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So I'll entertain a motion.
Put them back in the truck and
Yeah.
drive around like
Yeah,
we used to.
that's right.
Well, is that going to allow the city to have multiple units, or is this to replace one that's
This
bad?
is to replace what we've had. The one's about had it, but we still got the old one too, right? So if we needed to run 2, I guess we could, but this was a budget item that is there a motion?
So moved.
I guess nobody wants a mosquito bit. Motion by Alderman Langford, is there a second? Second by Alderman Clough. Any discussion? All for the motion, let it know by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign, motion pass. Wayne, we can call them tomorrow and get a PO. Item number 3, we have with us today from Tennessee Association of Utility District, Mr. J.W. Griffith. Come on up, Mr. Griffith. Glad you can make it. Mr. Griffith didn't know if he was going to make it tonight. He had jury duty, is that right? Or
It was
wife had jury duty?
It was a very rough day today. Wife had jury duty, and
Okay.
at 3 o'clock, right as I was on the outside of here around Salina, which there's no cell phone service, she tells me that she could be hung in jury duty till 7 o'clock, and I got kids I gotta go pick up and everything. So I printed off some stuff for you, and I ran in. And I told Mayor Hayes, I said, "Sorry, but I've got to go." And I got right outside of town. She called me and she said, "I got free." I said, "Good, because I'm here now, so we're going to do this thing." At the end of March, we had a little meeting with Mayor Hayes and a few members of the utility staff here with Livingston to discuss the new lead and copper rule that was recently passed in December of 21. And out of that rule is going to require all utilities across the nation to do a new lead service line inventory for utilities that would include the homeowner side as well as the system-owned side. So we discussed the different areas of that rule, and then Mayor Hayes also asked if I would spend some time, maybe write something that we could hand out to customers, and then also be here at the board meeting to help you answer any questions. So what you have in front of you is a 3-page document that I wrote up real quick. The first page of it is a kind of a simple explanation of what that rule is and why it matters to those homeowners. And really it's only highlighting what we are really requesting feedback of the homeowner on. There's many other things involved in the rule. The second page would be a document that the homeowner could fill out for us. I believe in the KISS method. Just keep it as simple as you possibly can so that we don't have any issues along the way. And I feel like we've kind of done that there. And then the last page is just kind of a infographic that could be used to help answer any questions. Mayor Hayes wanted something that the homeowner could use, and also the system could use to make sure we ask the right questions so that we get that proper information from the homeowner. So what the rule is actually requiring us to do is every house, business, anything that serves population that was built before July of 1988, we have to do an inventory of the system-owned side of that service line, right? So from the main to the meter. And then also the customer-owned side of that service line from the meter to the house. And we have to identify what material that line is made out of. A few options. Obviously, now we're building everything with PEX. Some systems are still using copper. But those are definitely the prominent ones. But what the new lead copper rule looks at is getting the lead out of the system. And so we would have to identify every lead service line in our system. And then in October of '24, we will end up making a lead service line replacement plan and new sampling procedures for that home.
So, and the reason that I thank you, Mr. Griffith, for being here, but one of the main reasons is to get awareness out. We have 5,100 water customers, and all 5,100 is going to have to be contacted by our water department, or however we figure out how to do that. You can see the Q&A that all the customers are going to be asked within our water utility district. Again, we got 5,100, and we've got to October of 2024 to get it done, okay? So we'll be making plans to go door to door. I'll probably put some more things in the paper and on the radio that city employees from the water department or from some department will be knocking on their doors asking for this Q&A to be filled out. And is there, of course, we'd love to have 100%, but how close can we be, JW?
So the way the rule reads is anything that's not identified is classified as unknown, and unknown is going to be classified as lead until known otherwise.
So we need 100%.
We need 100%.
Okay.
So obviously we have those issues. Customers don't want to be contacted. They don't want to participate. That is going to happen. It's going to happen across the nation. But the way the rule says it is if you do not know, you're going to assume it's the worst case scenario, which would be a lead pipe. And so we would have to test that home as if it was lead. And then after the series of that, I think the homeowner would agree to provide us with the information that they want. Because the testing procedure now, as it is wrote, which is looking at changing, is going to be a first draw sample. And then the homeowner would catch liters 2, 3, and 4, set that to the side, and then also a 5th liter sample. So it's a lot more in depth than what we currently do right now.
So a couple of different ways that we're going to try to attack this. A is through our website. Anyone can go, when we get it set up, can go on our website and fill out the Q&A. B is door to door. And not to take away from the water department, but we'll probably be leaning on the fire department and the city police to go door to door for us as well, to try to get this survey complete as quickly as possible. We're not going to try to do it all in a month, but over the next year and a half, this is what the state says we need to do and have to do, and we need to get as many as possible, because we don't want, I mean, as you said, if you don't get this data, then it goes down as lead, and then I guess, who would be coming to your home to test, see if you have lead in your water? Would that be TDEC or who?
It would be the system's responsibility to test.
Okay, so we'd be doing that.
Mm-hmm. Like we currently do now. The testing procedures will change a little bit. And obviously, and the guys in the water can tell you, that is probably one of the most difficult tests to get a system to complete, because it is 100% reliant on customer feedback, which is generally pretty tough. So the best way, there is no, in the rule book, this is the exact way to do this inventory. There are all these little fingers running out that say these are your options. And so doing a multi-step approach, which is what y'all are looking at right here, where the water system does an investigation on the water side, and then we ask for feedback for the customer side, that's the best way to try to cover all of those bases. And obviously, the more work we do now, it's going to be a little bit less headache we're going to have down the line. And so something just simple, like you'll see on that questionnaire, the first question is, was your home built before July of '88? That is what the state has said is the lead-free day in July of 1988. Lead was banned in Tennessee, so if it was after '88, there shouldn't be any lead. So we're not going to worry about you. Just keep it simple.
Any questions for Mr. Griffith? Yes, go ahead, Alderman. Go ahead, sorry.
I've actually got one for you, Mr. Griffin, one for you. Is there any kind of shortcut method for knowing for homeowners that have bought a home that don't have a clue if their home was built before then or not? Is there some shortcut method to knowing that?
There's not much.
Okay.
There's the Tennessee Property Assessor, which could have a lot of that data, but that's going to have somebody sitting in front of a computer looking up 5,000 homes.
Yeah.
There's just not a lot of shortcuts.
Got you. And then the second question, is there not room on our bills that we could put a message about this and some, okay.
Yeah, I failed to, website and utility bills on the back is what we're going to try to do, yes.
Do those bills get generated from here, or is that a vendor that does that?
No, we do our own billing.
Okay, I've got couple of questions. A little bit of confusion to me, because in this first paragraph it says lead and copper. So are we really just looking for lead, or what's the copper? Why is it a new ruling on copper? Because copper is still allowable, correct?
Yeah, that's actually a very interesting catch. The current rule we operate under right now is the lead and copper rule. When we sample for lead, we sample for copper at the same time. They both have limits. The lead limit is in parts per billion, and the copper limit is in parts per million. So it's a lot more room. You see advertisements all the time, copper's in everything. It's got a beneficial use in most areas of our life. They kept the lead and copper part of the rule, but they did nothing to copper in the new rule. But it is still in there, and it will still be sampled, and it will still be investigated along the way.
Okay, and then the second part of my question is, on the backside of all this, what type of enforcement mechanisms is the government going to have for business owners or homeowners that refuse to change out their piping from the meter throughout their home or business?
That's a question we've been getting asked a lot. In the federal regulation, there's not really much to that right now. The regulation specifically says that the system is not responsible for replacing customer side plumbing. However, if you go into the requirement to do a lead service line replacement, you don't get credit unless the customer replaces their side. You will be able to get that customer to sign an affidavit that says they understand they have a lead line and they are fine with that, which kind of relieves you from dealing with them anymore, but you still don't get the credit. Livingston's water is great. I don't think we're ever going to see that to where we have to start replacing lead lines in Livingston just because of the good water source and the good operations you have. But it is a problem. The other thing about it is every system has the ability to identify what a cross connection looks like in their system. And that homeowner that maybe doesn't want to change anything could be deemed a cross connection with non-potable water, and therefore would have to install a backflow preventer and things like that because of that lead line that could come back into your system if something happened.
And I have,
Is that the same thing as a galvanized line? Is that what we're talking about?
So there are two distinct differences. Lead and galvanized were used a lot frequently during that time frame, but they are different. The only time that galvanized matters in this new rule is if it ever is or was downstream of a lead line.
They are totally different.
They are. What we could see is a homeowner that had a galvanized line, but the water system had copper or black plastic on our side of it. And in that case, that galvanized line is still okay to stay in the ground. However, if it was a galvanized on the homeowner and the water system did have a lead service line, now that galvanized needs to be removed also. Galvanized is really bad about pitting, and so in those pits, that lead would deposit, and the federal regulation is worried that the lead would still leach out of the galvanized years down the line.
This is a question for Mr. Kennedy, but in your experience when you're, repairing leaks, et cetera, do you feel like that the city of Livingston has very much, are there many lead lines in our system, or what's the?
Been here 18 years and never seen a lead line in our system.
Never seen one, okay. Okay, great.
Lead is something that we tend to have a lot more problem of in larger cities or those cities that really industrialized in like the 60s. Obviously, Flint, Michigan is a big name, but even in Tennessee, areas like Memphis will have a lot of lead. A lot of our rural populations that have only really started seeing that growth in these last few years, I'm not expecting to see much of it at all. But that still doesn't mean we still have to go through this part of it. We still have to get this inventory ready.
Thank you, Mr. Griffith. Is there any questions? We'll be working on this, but I thought that this is a good way to get the word out to the general public, and that way board members know as well on if they see folks knocking on doors and trying to get this information. So thank you very much.
Yeah.
Any questions for Mr. Griffith? Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much for your time today, and Mayor Hayes has my phone number. Jack's got my phone number. If any of y'all have any questions as we go through this, feel free to reach out to me. I'll be happy to help y'all out.
Thank you, Mr. Griffith. Item number 4 is Mr. Tommy Lee, Upper Cumberland Development District.
Thank you, Mayor Hayes, and members of the board. Mayor Hayes asked me to come before you tonight to just give you an update on a couple of grants that we have submitted on behalf of the town of Livingston. Well, one is one that we have submitted, and one is one that we have got a notice for. The first one I'll talk about is one that we submitted a couple of weeks ago. This was this grant was from GameStop, which is a private recreational company, and they sent out a notice of funding opportunity for the potential purchase of playground equipment. This was a first come, first served grant, and so when it came out, I reached out to Mayor Hayes, asked if the city would be interested, and according to the grant opportunity, the city could apply for up to $50,000 toward the purchase of new playground equipment. There were several different options that were available, and the playground equipment are these large apparatuses ranging in size and features. The one that the city said that they would be interested in is a pretty large apparatus with swings and slides and climbing mechanisms for children, and so with Mayor Hayes' blessing, I applied, or Matt Billings applied on behalf of the city, and basically how it works is in a couple of weeks, GameStop will reach out to us and let us know what level of grant that the city would be eligible for, and then based upon that, the city can then determine whether or not they want to proceed and purchase the playground equipment. So we're in no way, or the city's in no way under any kind of financial obligation. It'll just be a decision that needs to be made once the award is rolled out. And so it can, like I said, it can be up to $50,000, but it could be less than that. And so at that point, when they let us know, we can make a decision whether or not we want to move forward or not. So any questions on that particular application? And then the final thing is a little bit of good news. Back in December, Mr. Matt Billings once again submitted an Appalachian Regional Commission grant on behalf of the city, and this was a $500,000 grant for downtown revitalization for South Church Street. And we were asked to come back and submit a full application for this project. And Shannon, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but this will be for the burying of electric lines, sidewalks, things of that nature, just improving the area there on South Church Street. And a total of $1 million project, $500,000 of that would be in grant. And so while I don't want to celebrate just yet because it has not been awarded, typically when ARC asks you to come back and submit a full application, it's pretty much a done deal at that point.
This right here would be part of our ongoing efforts to try to improve downtown Livingston as we start seeing growth down the South Church and the South Spring, South Good Pasture side. This would be, its idea, and the DRC has talked about this, is to try to make South Church, South Spring almost look as our downtown square is. Try to make it as attractive down in those areas as possible. So, thank you. Any questions?
Yeah, I have one quick question. Mr. Lee, that's fantastic news. Thank you for sharing. When you throw out the $1 million figure for the, project, that's just an estimate, right?
That's an estimate for the, we have to
For the
submit a
entire
budget
project.
for it, yes.
Yeah.
And so 500,000 of that 1 million, if awarded, would come from the Appalachian Regional Commission. As far as the timeline is concerned, we would hope, we're going to submit the grant by this Friday, and then in the next couple of months, we will hopefully receive word from the Appalachian Regional Commission that we would be awarded, sign contracts, and then environmental review, which is always fun. And then I would anticipate maybe this time next year we'll be breaking ground and starting construction, if all goes well.
Thank you, Mr. Lee.
Yes, sir.
Any more questions for Mr. Lee? All right, thank you. Item number 5, police cars, Livingston Police Chief Greg Etheridge. Thank you, Jack. Thank you, Jerry.
Hello, thank you. And I'm sorry to have to actually come and, especially at late notice, to talk to you about this. But there's good news anyway. But as you know, talking with Tommy about our Upper Cumberland Development Grant that they applied for us for over $300,000, that included 8 police vehicles to purchase. So unfortunately, we have not been able to have, the award is done, but the contracts have not been signed as of yet. So the way, when we applied for the grant, was to purchase cars the way we traditionally have since 2012, which is getting them mostly from the Missouri Highway Patrol. The way the process works with Missouri Highway Patrol, we go on a list. And so once we learned of the grant, because of the timeline involved, we asked them to hold 4 cruisers for us. So they've done that, and they've been holding them, and we've been trying to wait to see when the grant would come available. Unfortunately, the grant contract has not been signed yet. So my proposal would be, instead of having those 4 cars go back into the Missouri inventory and kind of get on a uh-oh list with them, that we go ahead and purchase those cars from Missouri Highway Patrol using the drug fund to do it. The cost of 3 of them is $21,900, and it's an 19 model?
Yeah, 18.
And the other one is a 2020, it's $1,000 more. So those cars already come in with the light bar and the siren already installed, which actually saves us a lot of money from that. The other equipment, and there would be 4 Dodge Chargers. The other equipment will come off the cruisers that we currently have in place. Then we would sell those cruisers on Gov Deals and replenish part of that back into the fund.
Alderman Coleman.
Yeah, Chief, what was the total for all the cars?
I believe the price for the four is $88,600,
And what's the balance in the drug fund?
roughly 170-something thousand.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
And then the grant would just pay back the funds to the drug fund?
I
once
can't
it's-
tell you whether that would happen. I don't
Cannot
believe
happen?
so.
Okay.
However, I would tell you that buying additional cruisers for us was something in play anyway. So, because our fleet has gone down some, so this will be a way that once all this is done, it would be basically 12 cruisers for us, and we shouldn't have to be worrying about cars for several years after that.
Yeah, and this kind of fixes the problem. What we looked at was leasing out the vehicles, kind of like we did in the regular city fleet, but it just came back too strong. Numbers was just too large for the squad cars, and so to stay on this list with Missouri is very, very important. And so, but as Greg said, not to sound redundant, but as Greg says, our fleet turnover just really needs to be continuous, so. And we would sell the other ones at auction or
Okay.
gov deals.
So just to clarify, you're going to get, if we vote for this, you're going to do 4 now,
Yes,
right,
sir.
out of the drug fund?
Yes, sir.
And then you'll get 8 once the grant comes in?
Yes, sir.
For a total of 12 new ones?
Well, you are for
Oh,
us.
yeah, well,
Yes,
that's
sir.
what I'm saying,
Yes, sir.
replacement vehicles.
Pre-owned.
Yeah, perfect, thanks.
All right, any,
Can I just
Yes.
real quick?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I said earlier that it would not, the confinement facilities grant would not pay for these patrol cars, and that is typical you can't typically spend money before a grant contract is signed. However, due to the fact that this has taken a very long time for the state to issue this contract, it might be different. So I want to retract what I said earlier, just so there's clarification. It's a possibility, but typically that's not how it works. Sorry.
Yes, sir.
thank you, Tommy, thank you, Chief.
Motion approved.
Motion made by Alderman, or Vice Mayor Ken Dotson to purchase patrol cars from Missouri Highway Patrol in an amount of not to exceed $88,600. Is that the numbers, Greg? 88.6?
Yes, sir. That's the cost of the vehicles, and then we're going to ship them back.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Out of
And the shipping, is that added into that, Greg?
No, sir.
Okay, all right.
Beth and I have talked about it and decided that, given the cost of fuel and everything going right now, that it would be more cost-effective, time-wise, for us to have them brought back. It's roughly $500 a car.
It's $2,850 for the transport of the vehicles back by a transport company.
All right, we've got a motion to, if you want to amend that for that amount, if you've got a quick calculator, you can add that.
And I think the motion also needs to include that the expense will come out of the drug.
Yeah, sure.
yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. You want to add that up?
Yes, I will amend that motion to that total, whatever that total comes out to be.
88,600 and.
Plus 2,800.
2,850.
So, I can't find my calculator.
Yeah. Are you a banker?
Not in my head. 88,600 plus 2,850.
Yeah.
Should be 91,450.
That is correct by my phone, 91,450. That is how my motion should be amended, please.
Okay, and that 91,450 will be coming out of the drug fund. So we got a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Coleman. Any discussion? Roll call vote, Ms. Phyllis.
Alderman Coleman,
Yes.
Alderman Dale,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Dotson,
Yes.
Alderman Lankford. Yes. Alderman Clough,
Yes.
motion passed.
Motion. Item number 6 is garbage and storage containers. Where you want to start? You want to start or you want me to?
Yeah, I'm happy to take this.
All right, go ahead.
Basically, I have been noticing some scenes that are depicted here in this photograph. If you start with the top right corner, this is a multi-family apartment complex, garbage receptacle area. at the time when the trash cans are full, basically. Then the lower left corner photograph is a scene once the garbage truck is run and the receptacles have been emptied. Now to the right, those two photographs to the right in the bottom is also a multifamily apartment complex on Lee Drive. And I point this out just to show the comparison between the container. It's a lid, it has a lid, it's marked with the address, the unit number for the apartment, et cetera. So basically, I came back to the mayor and I said, do we have in our miscellaneous ordinances, property maintenance ordinances, anything related to multifamily dwellings in terms of trash receptacle areas or standards, whatever? And we couldn't find it. So we've gone to MTAS and asked them to kind of help us guide us on some good, coming up with some good property maintenance codes to help with this. So that's where we are. I think, we've done so much good here in the community, and I think we can do better than this. So I'm kind of showing the good and the ugly, and it just so happens, and I'm not showing these photographs to pick on any particular multifamily dwelling, but right across the street from what you see in the upper right corner is the Livingston Housing Authority, and they should be commended. I think they should win the beautification award, frankly, because they are doing a bang-up job of transforming that entire neighborhood. I mean, they're painting those units, they're putting shutters on. They also, I failed to get this photograph, but they also have that same type of trash receptacle for each unit in the housing authority. And they're holding their residents accountable for making certain that their trash is maintained in an organized way. I just think this is unsightly, and to anyone in our community that sees that may be visiting, I think we can do better as a town. So, I challenge us to come up with something. And then the top left corner photograph is a dwelling that for 4 years since I've been on this committee, I've been trying to get something done about that. It's basically, it should be treated in our slum clearance code, but I think it's been stuck in a tax. John Meadows can, probate, tax, whatever. And I put this in here just to ask Meadows to give us an update on that property, please.
John, first, let's take the first item first. And we had talked to, Alderman Coleman asked me to reach out to Ms. Ashburn, UT MTAS. And I think that the board here in their packet that was handed out, you can see the conversations that we have had back and forth. And so, John, did you come up with anything after you were CC'd on all that?
Well, this was brought to my attention last week. I met with you on Thursday to discuss these things. Since then, I didn't look through our municipal codes, and we don't have Title 17s reserved for future use, but I have pulled some samples of those ordinances from some other cities that also includes a section on containers and requiring lids to be on containers and them to be properly secured and things of that nature. And I can get a draft of those of a couple different cities that have enacted those ordinances and let the board take a look at it, and we may even have a work session on it at some point. I spoke with Tommy Lee this afternoon also about this issue and the concerns, and there are provisions in our zoning ordinances now that require multi-family dwellings for those trash containers to be in a screened-in area. The issue that I can't answer right now is I don't know if these particular dwellings would have been grandfathered in before these zoning ordinance, before that was added to the zoning ordinance, so that's something to look into as well. But those pictures there on the right, if the condition of the property stays that way, then obviously they're no doubt in violation of our dirty lot ordinance in section 13-102. But until we enact something that specifically regulates containers and them being secured and with lids. That's all we can do at this point.
And also, John, we've had some complaints about storage containers.
I'm looking into that as well. This is about the large storage units that are parked on different lots. So I'm also looking into that to see how we can regulate that as well.
Okay. If you're familiar, it is the big bulky storage units that we get, and also 18-wheeler trailers that are starting to pop up on Main Street. So, yeah, but thank you.
Yep.
Now, I think Alderman Coleman had a question for you about the property.
Well, I guess
This house here, I'm not sure which one that is, Alderman Coleman. Now, there was a property or two that was in violation of our property maintenance regulations, and there was some of those properties, and I'm not sure if this is one or not, but there were some of those properties that were, there was a tax sale pending. Mr. Myers, Bruce Myers, was the delinquent tax attorney for Overton County for some time. Mr. Savage has taken that over, and I'll get with him on the status of those. We've always sort of piggybacked off of the county whenever they did those, and there was a delay, and also the COVID sort of put a halt on all tax sales, for that period. So I know there is a delay in getting those done, but I think some of those have started back. And there was one in particular, and I'm not sure if that's the one, and I don't have the address with me, but there was one in particular that was on the list of properties to be sold. So we had had a discussion before about, does it make a lot of sense for the city to incur the expense to go in there and tear it down and those things if that property is just going to turn around and be sold at a tax sale? So, but I'll be glad to look into that and get you an update.
that'd be great, and
on
I'll
that
give you the
particular
address. I'll give you the address of that.
Yes, sir.
And, yeah, John, if you could, in the next 2 or 3 weeks, if you can get some sample ordinances out
I'll be
here,
glad to.
and then we'll figure out if we want to have a work session before our next city council meeting.
Okay.
And have discussion. I do want to say, as Wayne Peak, which is our sanitation supervisor, has reminded me, the garbage cans that you do see in the lower right, now, we do not have the automated trucks, okay? So our folks have to open the lid and get the garbage that is in a bag out and put in there. Those are real nice cans, and I like them, and I hope one day that we can go to the automated sanitation truck that has the arm with the hook and it flips it over. But that's what those cans are, and we're not quite ready for that. Although if we had them, our garbage sanitation workers would get the garbage out by bag and throw it in the back of the hopper. I just wanted to clear that up, okay?
I noticed in some of the stuff that Ms. Ashburn sent us, I mean, they even have details about, you cannot have bags of garbage sitting on top of a can. It all has to be in a container with a lid. It may be just me, but I see trash cans, even empty trash cans, laying all over lots. I mean, out by the street after the pickup, and they just stay there. That's like their permanent home for some residents, and I just think it's unsightly.
I agree, and I think we can do something, get an ordinance, yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Meadows. Thank you, Mr. Coleman. Okay, I have no other business. So I'll entertain we ain't got nothing else, Chris. All right, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion made by Vice Mayor Dotson. Is there a second? Second by Rex Dale. All in favor, let it know by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. We're adjourned.